Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday show. Good to have you with us on this very cold evening. Well done for staying indoors and watching your phone or your laptop. But then again, we're doing that all the time, aren't we? Tonight we're going to be talking about COVID to begin with. And I'll just say straight off that we'd love to hear your stories about shopping near you. Have you been in a shop locally in Tower Hamlets or East London and felt it's not safe? Or have you been out on the streets and seen something you thought wasn't safe? Or have you seen a Metropolitan Police officer with neatly cut hair? We want to hear about it all. Give us a call. And joining me, well, before I say who's joining me tonight, I'm going to say we do have, as well, we're going to be looking at Tower Hamlets libraries, and we're going to be looking at Whipps Cross Hospital, where there's a bit of a scandal. Not really the time to lose 51 beds, is it? So we'll hear about that later. But welcome, Maium. Lovely to see you. You look warmer than I feel, which is always good news. How are you?
Well, thank you, Jenny. Yes, I'm fine.
Good. This is Maium Miah, as I call him. Not always the name you go by. I forget your other name, Maium. Is, of course, the chair of the Island Network. And we're going to begin, Maium, by asking you just to give us a quick recap. But before we begin, I better tell you the number to ring, hadn't I? Ring in with your stories on 0208 12345 07. 0208 12345 07. So if you'd like to ring, just give us a call. So, Maium, remind us, what did the Island Network do to help the local community?
Well, once again, thank you, Jenny, for inviting me to your show once again. Well, the Island Network, we've it's about 15, 16 organizations on the Isle of Dogs, PME organizations. We've formed alliances, and as you said, I'm the chair, and we have various other members and also excellent volunteers. Since last year, March, we've started distributing hot meals, food packages to local elderly and vulnerable residents. Initially, when we first started, we thought it would be only for the lockdown, but obviously the virus has, it's a never-ending, it looks like it's a never-ending, and it continued. We're nearly 1 year on, and still we're fighting the virus. And obviously the work continued, and this is one of our commitments. We will continue to work, continue to serve the vulnerable residents as long as it takes. So we will be continuing doing it. And I think it's a challenge sometimes for us because of lack of support. Sometimes we need financial support, we need sponsorship. I mean, we are grateful that the support we had so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been amazing. But
if things get any worse, you'll need a bit more, won't you? I know
you
said thank you. You said thank you to One Housing Group, which is not something one hears often, and to the Canary Wharf Group for funding, and to some of small local businesses as well. So well done for that local response. But I think you raise quite an interesting point there, which is that although our first concern during the lockdown has been to ensure that everybody's accounted for, safe and fed, it's brought to light a lot of issues about what's wrong with our society and what's wrong even before the COVID pandemic broke, hasn't it? You know, sort of all this campaigning, the quite correct campaigning on universal credit, trying to keep it up £20. It's just revealed how feeble universal credit was, hasn't it? There's just level that people
the
can't
government,
manage.
the local council, I mean, they've been hitting hard on residents, even before the lockdown, and they're continuing doing that. You know, they're not stopping. They're not. You know, to me, it's like they're not human beings. You know, on top of this pandemic, you continue cutting services. You continue making decisions which goes against, you know, human beings, safety of human beings, services, which directly impacts on residents.
I think it's a hugely interesting area about how Boris Johnson is caught in the pressure of wanting to keep people safe because that's what the scientists say, and then wanting to keep people at work because that's what the Tory backbenchers and some frontbenchers say. Where do you find the balance. But I think let's start by saying it's a very sad day today, because we have in the UK now passed the 100,000 deaths mark. Worldwide, there's over 2 million deaths, 2.14 million deaths at last count, and just under 100 million cases worldwide. Boris Johnson says he's deeply sorry, but doesn't really help account for why we have one of the highest death rates in the world. That's a bit of a gap, but there we are. Let's look at, what do you think? Let me put you on the spot, Maium. What do you think are the reasons for this very high rate of COVID occurring in the UK?
Well, I think first the first lockdown, I think it was a learning curve for everyone, even the scientists, even the government, for us, community, everyone. I mean, the second one, I think the government reacted too late, and also they introduced stupid ideas such as the discount going out and things like that, eating out, and they always the government was always behind, they were always like too slow, acting on lockdowns and things like that, and I think that's what caught us.
Do you think the second lockdown has been better observed than the first one?
Well, I don't. I mean, I won't say it was better observed. I think we couldn't. The government, they should have learned from the first lockdown, and they should have acted better during the second lockdown, the second wave. I think they failed to do that. He always acted slow and late, and I think also it's just also the education aspect. Opening the school was a big mistake. Shouldn't have, should be. They should have continued online like what's happening now, and that was a big mistake. So, and I think it cost people lives. It cost families. It's just so sad that we passed the 100,000 death rate, and it's devastating. I've lost my father-in-law as well in America. And
Have you?
And I feel
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and we have so many friends and families we've lost within.
Really?
So it's just sad that when the decision makers, they feel that they're making the right decisions, but they're not. Absolutely not.
I mean, I feel the second lockdown has been a bit better observed in some ways. The young people who used to assemble outside my front door and lean on the balcony to watch the world go by of an evening aren't there anymore. They were there for the first couple of days of the lockdown, but I haven't seen them recently. So that fills me with hope that people are staying indoors. The place looks very quiet on the Isle of Dogs, at least. So I don't know what's happening elsewhere in the borough. If you live elsewhere in the borough or in East London, give us a call and tell us what you can see out your window, what's going on, how much traffic is there, and so on. And I particularly wanted tonight to look at the experience in local shops, because I've been hearing some very alarming stories on WhatsApp and social media about people going into shops in Tower Hamlets and finding the shops are not prepared. Nationally, I think the talk has been about everyone needs to wear a mask to go into a shop, and should we make it the law, or should we just make it a guidance? And should we be shopping together as household couples or pairs or whatever? Or should we be shopping alone? And certainly the stories that have come through that I've been hearing suggest that the problem isn't always with the customers. It's lack of any attempt to enforce decent behaviour according to the restrictions in shops. I don't know if you've been able to get out, Maium, if you've been able to get into any.
Well, I go to my local store. I've been to various other stores, and you're right. I mean, they've got people at the front who, if you don't have a mask, they will give you the mask, but they're not actually, they're not being, strong enough to just like. And also, I think once you're inside, some people just tend to take the mask off, and they're just wandering around, they're mixing around, and I think there needs to be some kind of measures inside the superstores which make sure that people are distancing, keeping the distance. I think this is one of the failures of big superstores, and also small stores. You know, some stores, you know, people just go in without a mask. Forget about the distancing. They just go inside without a mask, and I think people needs to be more, you know, they need to be more careful. They need to understand what we're going through,
And what their
especially.
part is, yes.
Yeah. And I think the local council has a very important role within that. You know, they could have recruited like special officers. It's not finding the businesses, like just go in and encouraging, supporting, giving advice. That would help. So I
Well,
think,
I have read a council press release which says that last weekend, in a special drive, they managed to find 140 individuals in Tower Hamlets. Out of our population of over 300,000, that may seem quite a small number, but they were quite pleased with it. So there we are. That's something.
about 39,000, I think, pounds for fine.
Really? Yeah, well, I didn't say what in my press release that I read. They didn't say how much it was. But I think at this point, Ma'am, let's. I spoke earlier to Dawn Guilfoyle, who lives in Poplar, and she told me a terrible story about her visit to her local Iceland, the branch in Chris Street. So if we can perhaps go to that report and see what Dawn had to say about her trip to Iceland. Let's listen to that. Hello. I'm about to speak to Dawn, a local resident, who's going to tell us about an experience she had in a local shop. So welcome, Dawn. You live in Poplar, don't you, Dawn?
Yes, I do.
Lovely. And you went shopping in Chris Street
Yeah.
last week. Do you usually go to Iceland? Is it your regular supermarket?
Yes, it is. Yes.
And have you had any problems with it before?
Not before the pandemic, no.
Okay. And sadly, you got a bit cross with them last week. Do you want to tell us what happened when you went in?
Yes. What happened was I entered the supermarket. It was very crowded to start off with. There were lots of people. You know, it didn't look like they were limiting the number of people that could enter the store. It was very crowded. As I was walking around doing the shopping, there were people kind of leaning across me to get to shelves, and leaning across me to get to the freezer. I managed to sort of get round and get what I needed. When I got to the checkout queue, there were two queues, one either end of the store. And what was happening was the queues were, you know, there were, I would say, probably about 20 people, maybe more in each queue. And they were all, there was no distancing in the queue. There was no 2 meters between each person. Everybody was literally right up behind each other. Some people were talking to each other in the queue. So they'd like pulled their masks down to stand and have a chat. And then what happened was there was a young lady in front of me, and we got to the kind of right up to where the checkout area was, and we both stood back to allow the person in front to have space to go through the checkout. And the gentleman that was operating the checkout, he said to the lady in front of me, come forward, come forward. And she said, no, she said, I'm waiting, I'm trying to have some space. You know, we're supposed to be distancing, we're supposed to be having 2 meters. And what happens is, because they only have the two queues, one at either end of the shop, it becomes a bottleneck. As you get to where the checkouts are, you get a bottleneck effect, where people are trying to decide which checkout am I going on, left or right. Sometimes I might have one in the middle operating, so people then might both try from both sides, try to go through the middle. So the lady sort of said to the guy, you know, I'm trying to hold back, I'm trying to keep space, I'm trying to distance. She held back for a couple of seconds, and then his checkout, there became a bit of space. So she decided to move forward. She moved forward, went to go to his checkout, and he was really rude to her. He said to her, oh, you've made up your mind, have you? What checkout you want to go on? So then I kind of jumped in at that point because I was appalled at the fact that he was so rude to her. And I'm actually a community champion, a community COVID champion as well for Tower Hamlets. So I jumped in. I said, hang on a minute. You know, I'm a COVID champion. You know, this lady's doing the right thing. She's keeping to the rules. He then started shouting at me and saying, why are you interrupting? It's nothing to do with you. Mind your own business. So then I said to him, why are you not, you know, why are you not promoting the rules? Why are you not making sure that people are distancing? I said, look, this shop is awful. You know, why are you not making sure people are distancing? Why are you not enforcing them to wear masks? And he said to me, we can't enforce it. We can't make them. They might be exempt from masks, and we can't make them do things.
So
but I mean, this.
That's terrible, wasn't it? I mean, I think that's.
Yeah.
I don't know which is worse, seeing the sort of behaviour or the fact that staff were rude to you. Were most of the shoppers wearing masks? Or not?
Not really. No, it's kind of a half and a half situation. Some do, some don't. It's, you know, and that's not the only thing. It's like there's been times that I've gone in. There was one time I went in and there was two boys around about 11, 12 years of age, and they were standing by the rack where the sweet packets are, and they were standing and they were licking their fingers and then touching the sweet packets. And again, I approached the security guard and said, look, we're in the middle of a pandemic. You know, the children are licking their fingers and touching the sweet packets. And he said to me, we can't do anything. They're only children. You know, there's people that go in and they're literally sorting through baskets of things, you know, baskets of potatoes, pulling packets of potatoes out and sorting through, you know, and you just can't be doing that at the moment while we're in this pandemic.
I mean, it's normal when you shop, isn't it? You have a look at everything and you've got to really change your behaviour if you go into a supermarket, haven't you? What about the staff? Were they wearing masks?
Again, it's some do, some don't. The guy that actually served us, he wasn't. The security guards don't normally. But there's one or two ladies that are normally on the checkouts and they normally do.
And what about the other thing that we've grown used to in a supermarket is some sort of hand sanitizer station?
No, there's nothing. There's no sanitizing station. The trolleys now are actually in the corner inside the shop, and that's where they're left. They're not cleaned. They're not sprayed. You know, as I said, there's no hand sanitizing station outside the door for people to sanitize their hands or spray the baskets before they go in or anything.
Well, I have to say, well done for standing up for what's right, Dawn. I mean, you know, you're not the first East End Poplar woman to do that, and sure I hope you won't be the last. But well done. Anyway, did you get any support from the other shoppers?
Yeah, the lady that was in front of me that, you know, he was rude to, she was really supportive, but nobody else really. Most people just stand and look, you know, they don't really get involved.
Well, Dawn, thank you very much for talking to us
You're welcome.
this afternoon. And, you know, we have, just to let you know, I have written to the head office of Iceland and asked them what they make of this. And haven't had an answer yet at the time of doing this recording. But if they don't reply by close of business today...
I have reported twice as well to the Metropolitan Police 101 website for breaches as well. So...
Yes, because we have to take this seriously, don't we? There's just too many stories around. So well done, Dawn. You're a one-woman powerhouse keeping Poplar safe. So thank you so much for coming on the Tuesday show. We'll see you again in the future. Thank you now.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, Maium, I hope you heard that. What do you make of Dawn's story?
I mean, you know, well done to Dawn. So, you know, you know, she's a brave lady. Yeah, absolutely. And I think as I was watching the video, it just come to my mind that I don't think these superstores, they've trained up their staff regarding how to deal with, or regarding the current guidelines and you know, the rules regarding COVID, because majority of the stores you go to, you won't see. Yes, they might have hand sanitizers, they might have masks, but they're not really implementing the distancing.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's full house, and if you have a full house in a superstore, you won't be able to maintain. I mean, during the first lockdown, I think our local Asda stores they did it quite well, and at the moment, I don't think they're doing it right.
Really, because I'm not going out at all, so I'm still shielding again. So I haven't been out to see it, but you've obviously, been in touch with people who have.
Yeah, I mean, people told me that the queue system is not. They're not really maintaining. I mean, obviously, they can't control people. I understand that, but there needs to be someone making sure, at least trying to maintain the distance, make sure they've got the mask on all the time. And I think that's the measure they need to take.
I mean, it seems to be a dreadful fail, basically, around Tower Hamlets. I've just collected together some other comments I found on social media. I've seen there's a Sainsbury's local opposite Queen Mary College, and that's been praised by some people. Particularly the staff have had a mention. They apparently have been really helpful to shoppers and very thorough about maintaining safety standards. Not so good. Mixed news about the co-op. The co-op shop at Stepney Green, near Stepney Green Tube, that's been had some praise on social media as an okay. But not the co-op in Mile End, the one that's sort of under that funny yellow bridge. There, people have taken against the security man on the door, who's not wearing a mask and breathing all over the customers, which hasn't gone down well. People find him quite arrogant. I must admit, I haven't written to the co-op or to Sainsbury's about the allegations there, but certainly I've seen. Well, I think I've said on here before. People in the co-op in Cross Harbour. What's that place called? It's not Cross Harbour.
Cassilis Road.
No, up from the Harbour Exchange. That's what I mean to say. Harbour Exchange.
Other one. Okay, yeah.
There was this incident I saw in the first lockdown where a security guard had appeared from nowhere and was standing, looking secure, at the front of the shop, and he obviously had two mates with him who probably hadn't seen him. I think it was just after the first lockdown had finished. I think, which was coming to an end, and they were just sort of all stood there, looking great because they were, were keeping security, and they just hadn't thought, well, you've got to stand apart yourselves. There's no trying keeping other people secure if you can't actually maintain your own social distance. So that was a bit sad, really. But there we go. Anyway, so that's our local shops. We're coming to an end of our COVID topic now. So if you're going to ring in, I know a couple of people wanting to, but I know you get shy at the last minute. Now's your chance to give us a call. What we've seen from Dawn, what the council is doing, I think we do have to ask them what more they can do. I think there's two options. You're right, Maium. Either the council has to somehow send out more enforcement officers. The police are probably busy, but there must be some kind of enforcement officers that could be sent out. Or the other thing they could do is probably just let Dawn run the council, because that would probably be enough, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. Sure, I agree. But they're not doing, the council's not doing enough anyway. I mean, I haven't seen any enforcement officers or anyone going around and asking local businesses.
But we've got this, haven't we?
Oh, we've got a publicity, it's a proper publicity newsletter. I mean, yeah.
Now, of course, we're lucky, really, that Eric Pickles isn't in government any longer, because otherwise there might be some complaints saying every COVID publication we've had come out so far has shown the mayor on it. It's almost as if it was personal publicity of a sitting mayor. Message from Mayor John Biggs. I mean, I don't know. We don't have many other opposition councillors on the council, but they haven't got a word in edgeways. I presume they are both supportive of the general message going out. And there's one thing in this very glossy leaflet which I think is useful, which is just to remind people, and I will put it in when I get a chance, I'll put it into the comments, the council telephone number if you need some help, or if you need help in finding an answer to a question. 020 7364 3030. That's the Tower Hamlets telephone number if you need some help. So I have no idea how much something like that costs. It must have gone to every
I mean, it's a very glossy, it is a very expensive leaflet, and at this point of time, we don't need these kind of expensive publicity
No. Well,
leaflets.
we're supposed to be very short of money, aren't we? So,
Not on publicity, no. On services and that impacts the resident, we are short on.
yeah. Oh, well, I mean, it doesn't seem to. It repeats the government advice, so it's nice to know that John Biggs is in tune with the government. And I suppose these messages just have to come to us from many different angles. So maybe the expense was worth it. I don't know what people think. Okay, two last bits of news. What do you think the take-up of the vaccine is like, Maium? Has the community changed its tune a bit?
Well, I think there are a minority of people, scaremongering people, that you shouldn't be taking vaccine. My personal view is you should. And everyone I'm talking to, everyone, I have people ringing me, phoning me around. I'm advising them they should be taking the vaccine. They should listen, even within the religious aspect of like Islamic imams. Even they're coming out and saying you should be taking vaccines. This is something. Obviously, I understand what the people are saying. Some people are saying, life and death is from God, but still, you need to take. If you take flu vaccine, you take a COVID vaccine. I mean, it's yes, life and death is up to Almighty. It depends on but you still have to take the vaccine. It's and you're always going to get a few troublemakers, scaremongering people. But I am disappointed about the Tower Hamlets. The 80 plus. I think it's 8 to 9,000 we've vaccinated, and the percentage of Asian is very low compared to white. I think 71% was white, 26 black, and 37 Asian. And I think more needs to be done. And I think it's kind of
that adds up to 130, over 130, doesn't it, Maium?
Yeah, it does.
There must be something wrong with those figures. We haven't got 150% people in
It's
Tower
my
Hamlets.
figure, so it could be wrong, but the actual content is correct. There is
Well, I've just put on the comments of this video a link to an East London News article which has some comments from the Imam at the East London Mosque, explaining why he believes it's Muslims' duty to have a vaccination. But I think the vaccination message is beginning to get home to the Muslim community.
It is.
And the number of people who are very hesitant are now really champing at the bit, ready to go out and get their older relatives vaccinated, which is excellent. So
yeah, I mean, I've been invited to. I've been contacted regarding my vaccine, so I'm getting it done as well because of my work. Because I work with elderly, vulnerable children, so I'm getting mine done. And I am phoning people. I am promoting that if you get contacted, you should be doing it. Vaccine is such an important. I mean, just we've lost over 100,000 people, and we can't take any chances. So yeah, I think the community is coming together and they are working. They are giving one message to the community that the vaccine is important and you should be taking. I mean, the most important thing is everything has a side effect. Even medication we take, and vaccine is exactly. But I mean, if you got allergies, if you got issues, you can discuss with NHS advisors or your GP, and you can consult with them. You can talk to them, and you can take their correct advice. It's not worth telling people not to take the vaccine.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I know people sometimes talk about vaccine, and it might have a side effect. Well, COVID's got a side effect as well, and that's being very ill. I think it's just an appropriate time to say. I think we're just looking to see if we can play a video that's been put around by the East London Mosque. But I think now's an appropriate time to say that viewers may remember Julian Sharp, who was a frequent guest on the 2020 Vision, last year's programme. And it's all right. This is good news in a way. People may have heard that Julian was suffering from the COVID virus and spent some time in the Royal London Hospital, and Julian is now out of the hospital. That's the good news.
Oh, excellent.
I know there is controversy about the treatment some patients have received in the Royal London Hospital, and you can go to the VodTalk video page and see a video put together by the Three Rivers Trust, fronted by Abdul Miah, and a very interesting programme where he's brought together 4 people who've got experience of treatment at the Royal London Hospital, and those are not good stories. And he's setting up a Facebook group to try and collect more community stories on the London Hospital, which is very valid. I think we're able now to. Are we able to go to the East London Mosque video? Let's play it if we are. Okay, we're not going to go to it now.
You got it.
We're seeing a picture.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear brothers and sisters, many lives have been lost to COVID-19. The world reached a grim milestone this week with 2 million people dying of COVID globally. The UK is fast approaching its own milestone of 100,000 deaths. There is only one way we can turn this around and combat the virus. Alhamdulillah, with almost unlimited funding, unprecedented cooperation between nations, and armies of selfless trial volunteers, and with the grace of Allah, of course, a number of COVID vaccines have been developed and approved in record time. Vaccination, dear brothers and sisters, is consistent with the Sharia and with al-aql, with reason. The permissibility of taking medicine to repel disease or prevent an expected one is a matter of consensus among the people of knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Seek treatment, O slaves of Allah, for Allah does not create any disease, but He also creates with it the cure, except for old age." The Sharia obligates us to preserve life, and we are prohibited from throwing ourselves into harm's way. So what then in the case of COVID-19, where by rejecting the vaccine, you are not only endangering yourselves, but also those around you? With this in mind, the scholars, in consultation with medical professionals, have either strongly recommended or obligated the use of the vaccine before our state of affairs becomes more catastrophic. Therefore, brothers and sisters, it is imperative that we view our situation now with an eye of urgency and not adopt a half-hearted approach to the vaccine. So do not listen to foolish conspiracy theories, silly, half-baked rumors and hearsay. Rather, follow those qualified and experts in their fields. These same medical professionals you have relied on all your life. Now when they recommend you to take the vaccine, you doubt them.
Hello, I think, do we have a caller on the line? Hello, are you phoning the Tuesday show? I'm sorry, that was a terrible interruption of the video we were playing there. Thank you very much to our backroom team for putting that video on. I hope everybody found it instructive. And I think, yes, the person who was calling has just messaged me. Try again. Hello there.
Hello.
Hello, what's your name, caller?
Hi, there, it's Ali.
Ali, hi, great to hear from you. What would you like to say?
I was just listening to your guest and yourself actually a few minutes ago with regards to local supermarkets and how they're tackling social distancing, etc. My local supermarket, can I say the name of the supermarket?
Yes, you can.
Okay, my local supermarket is actually Iceland in Chris Street Market. And I have to say, the measures they have in place seem to be non-existent. I know a few other people who have already said the same thing to me personally. No social distancing, no queuing outside. If you've been there previously, you'll have noticed that the aisles in that specific supermarket are actually smaller than other supermarkets due to the size of the store, so they're quite narrow. and it's very packed. Now, last year during the initial lockdown, they did have a queuing system outside that the security guard managed, and they let people in as people are coming out. So they had a relatively safe number of people inside at one time. This lockdown, however, nothing seems to be in place at all. And I was just wondering if your guest has any contacts that he can speak to with regards to this.
Well, this is basically what Dawn was saying in her video, and she's reported them to the police, and I've reported them to the head office. Maium, I mean, E14, it's your area. Is there anything that you can do?
Yeah.
Because now this is a second report come in.
Just say one last thing.
Yes.
Surely, they have a security guard in place, and I know the co-op that's very nearby. The security guard does tend to manage the numbers as much as they can. However, in Iceland, this same security guard was in place last year. However, the security guard last year seemed to have a queuing system. This very same security guard this time around seems to be doing absolutely nothing. Half the time I go in, he's on the phone. Very nice guy. However, unfortunately, during this scenario, he's not doing anything. Now, I don't know if this is something maybe the head office of Iceland, maybe they haven't given any guidance, because they must have given something last year for them to do that, and this time for
well,
nothing.
there's now 3. And I've had a message on my own social media saying, from someone who's watching, saying Iceland is shocking and they need reporting. So, Maium, is this an issue you could take up? I've written to them, but not listening to me. Could it something you could take forward?
Yeah, I mean, what I can do is obviously I can write to the head office, and also I'll visit the actual store. And I have a word with the general manager, saying that this is something up, and also I'll contact the local council as well. And I will be doing those 3 steps. And just Ali, have you reported it yourself? Have you reported it to anyone?
To be honest, I didn't know exactly who to report it to. I have spoken to the store itself. They apologize, but the next time I go in there, it's absolutely the same. So I don't know if you said your guest is actually local. I don't know if he's actually been in the last few weeks, because it doesn't, apart from the evenings, when I go there after 8 p.m., because there's hardly any customers there, it's probably the safest time to go. However, that's not always suitable. So if you go during the day, unfortunately, it's absolutely chaotic.
And of course, if you go at 8 o'clock in the evening, that's after everyone has gone through. I'm going. I will try to put in the comments a link to maybe an email address, or a link to. I've got an email address I can probably access. Well, Iceland's head office where I reported this. So let me put that up on the comment, and then if people begin to email in, that will help.
I'm not sure if our local councillors maybe can play a part in this.
Maium used to be a councillor, and he's now chair of the Island Network. I know you don't shop.
You've got 2 local councillors. I'll speak to one of them as well. I'll speak after the show. I'll call one of them, and I'll make sure he writes to the head office as well, and as well as the local council as well.
Please, and even if they actually, whichever time of day they can, even if they go and visit, I'm sure they'll see firsthand what a lot of other people are saying.
Yeah, and especially it's a very busy area, this one, and it's very important to maintain the distance. Yeah, thank you for.
Especially in a store where, like I said, because the aisles are quite narrow and it's quite cramped anyway, I think it's even more important that they do have a queuing system outside and social distancing inside, etc. Social distancing inside, I suppose it's harder to manage depending on where customers want to walk around within the store. However, surely they can have a queuing system outside. That shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. You just thought not, wouldn't you?
Thank you. Well,
okay,
number 3.
I'm putting the email address up. It's actually the media address, but if their media department can't take the matter seriously, then who.
I mean, that's what I said during the first lockdown. They've been really well managed, but that second one they've kind of
dropped off.
They've forgotten about the rules and guidelines.
As I was saying before the call came through, and sorry that it interrupted the end of that video, but it was nice to see what we did see, and that very strong message coming through from the East London Mosque. I was just giving everyone the good news that Julian is now out of hospital and he is recovering, but he
Well
is
done.
not. Yeah, he's not out of the woods yet. It will be a slow recovery, so I don't think we will see him for a while. But it's good to know that he's making progress and is out of hospital. So I think with that, we are going to have to bring the talk on COVID to an end, because I promised you, Maium, that you could just say something about Cubic Town Library. We know there's a big campaign in Tower Hamlets to against the proposed closure of the libraries, and of course Cubic Town Library is very close to both of us where we live.
Yeah.
You must have used it pretty much all your life. So what would you like to say? And you're promoting a petition, so what would you like to say about Cubic Town
Well,
Library?
Cubic Town Library. I've used that library 20 years ago when I was when I was a kid. That was my local library. We've used it. There's many. I mean, yes, we know there's internet, there's laptops, but not everyone's at the same level. Not everyone has internet and laptop. So yes, because of current situation, people might not be going to the local library, but it is useful. People do use it. I used it, and I'm sure there's many people, and the community is very upset about that proposal. And I think the council and the leadership and Biggs, whoever making, I'm sure it's him, that they think libraries are something from the past. We don't need it. It's old-fashioned. Let's move into a new. That's not how it works. That's not not how it works. These are vital services. Someone's got no internet. Someone's got no computer. Someone can't afford a book. They go in the library. They go in the local library. They've got a little study table as well. And sometimes they get help as well from the local. I mean, I had help during the 90s. When I went to the library, I was on the computer. People helped me, and many other children will be deprived from this service. And I urge everyone to support the petition, and also take part in the council's consultation and oppose this. This is really awful, and this is not the last one. There's many other cuts that this administration is doing, and it's totally affecting the local residents. And
Yes.
this library is an asset to the community, the community on the Isle of Dogs.
Well, you were there when you used the library when you were young. Certainly, I took my child there when he was even younger than you were, and they used to run a lot of events for small children. And the government, educationalists, everybody seems to be saying it's really important that children should read.
Yeah.
Well, that does actually mean books. You can't read everything on screen. And if we're going to get that reading going, we need books for children.
Yeah.
And maybe the library's not been promoted enough. I mean, it's been also, of course, where we used to get our pink recycling bags in our area, although obviously the library is closed now. I think we've got until the 29th of January. I think that's the end of this week, Friday. If you are one of the few people in Tower, or one of the many people in Tower Hamlets who can get through on the consultation, do please respond to the consultation. I'm going to put the link up in the comments of this video. As I said, you can respond to the consultation up until Friday this week. There can be problems with Tower Hamlets consultations because you have to sign up and register on the site, and sometimes that can be very difficult to do. It should be simple. I haven't managed it, and I'm not easily daunted. I managed to log on once, but I haven't been able to since, even though with the same username and password and everything like that. And it's got to the point where I actually wrote into I can't remember who I wrote into now, somehow where it said who you could complain to. And I got an email, and it was a really detailed email. It said, this is what happened. I tried to log in. I did reset password. It didn't actually email me back, da-da-da-da-da. And I got an email saying, could I please send them a screenshot of the page I was on when the problem occurred? Well, of course, it was the reset password. If you read what I wrote, then you can work it out. And even more bizarrely, it was a bilingual email. In this multicultural borough, it's lovely to see bilingual emails, but this one was bilingual because it was in English and in French. So I will have another go at trying to be consulted. We did ask the council once why it was that you had to log on to be signed into the council to be consulted, and they said it was more robust, but it hasn't been robust in my case. Busting my head a bit, but there we go. So yes, I'll put the library consultation up. So thank you for airing that. Dear viewer, go to 38 degrees and just search for Save Our Libraries Tower Hamlets. That will take you to the library petition. And in a minute I'll put the link to the consultation, or at least to the council's announcement of its consultation, up on the comments too. But we're going to finish the show by going off on another topic now. We've covered here the Whipps Cross Hospital. Now, people might say, "Oh, that's a long way away, Whipps Cross Hospital. Why is that important?" And it's important for two reasons. Because a lot of local hospitals in Maium, Tower Hamlets and Waltham Forest are under one NHS trust. The Barts NHS Trust runs 5 hospitals. And the provision in each one of the hospitals sort of depends on the others as well. We all use all of those hospitals. And the good news was that Whipps Cross Hospital is going to be rebuilt. It's deemed to be so old that it has to be actually rebuilt, just like the Royal London was. Good, that's lovely. But the rebuild is underfunded. And to do the rebuild, they're going to have to lose 51 beds and a palliative end-of-life care centre. So the campaign around Whipps Cross Hospital, Action for Whipps Cross, have got a petition, a letter together, which they're sending around to all the North East London MPs, and they need you to sign it, and they need you to sign it by the end of January. So I think we're now going to hear from Ava, who's a campaigner for Whipps Cross Hospital, and she's done us a little report, just 3 minutes long, which we're going to listen to now, explaining why you should sign the petition. So if we can have Ava's video, please.
Good evening. My name is Eva Turner, and I'm talking to you on behalf of Action for Whipps. We are a strictly community campaign, not affiliated to any political party. We have formed ourselves in October 2020, when the first plans for the new Whipps Cross Hospital became public. Action for Whipps welcome and support Barts Trust's work to provide a new hospital at Whipps Cross. We are very clear that the new hospital is urgently needed and have huge respect for the staff who work there. However, we are concerned that the current level of government funding is seriously insufficient, resulting in plans as they currently stand to cut both beds and the palliative care services at the Margaret Centre. And logically, with the population increase of the size of the whole borough by 2026, when the hospital will be completed, smaller hospital at Whipps Cross will put pressure on hospitals from Hackney to Tower Hamlets to Havering and Barking and Dagenham. So, Action for Whipps are calling on all North East London MPs to work together to do everything in their powers to secure more funding from the government for the redevelopment of the Whipps Cross Hospital. We are asking the residents from all the North East London boroughs to sign our letter to MPs, to distribute it to all their North East London contacts. The letter contains the following main points. 51 fewer beds are proposed for the new hospital at Whipps Cross, already running pre-COVID at 98% occupancy. The highly specialised and valued palliative care unit at the Margaret Centre will not be provided, while no comparable services exist for the population of Waltham Forest and much of Redbridge. While Barts Trust justify these cuts in beds and services by assuming extra investment in the community, everybody knows that community services, both in health and social services, are underfunded, under-resourced and overstretched. The imperative of the new Whipps Cross to be net zero carbon and truly sustainable also calls for appropriate resourcing. This needs our urgent attention, as in February 2021, Barts are seeking planning permission for their outlined plans. It would be a travesty if this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a new hospital yielded the same unsafe pressures as currently. So please sign the letter and distribute it to all your North East London contacts. You can write to me on whips.cross.campaign@gmail.com and I will send you the link. That is whips.cross.campaign@gmail.com. You can also find us at Facebook, Twitter, and our webpage if you look for Action for Whips. That is action number 4 Whips as one word. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, Ava, for coming on and giving us that little introduction to Whipps Cross Hospital. That's very important. And she mentioned the campaign's email address, which again I'll put up in the comments. I'm slightly confused about the comments because I can't see them all, but doubtless better people. Oh yes, there they all are. And thank you to other people who've made comments as well. Our other regular guest, Paul Merry, has sent in a comment about which I pasted in there, about rough sleepers being vaccinated in Redbridge. So there's a whole range of things. Sadly, we are now coming to the end of our time. I'm just trying to think, is there anything we meant to say that we haven't said yet, Maium? Remind me.
No, I think you've covered most, as far as I know. Hospital. Did we talk about the Royal London? We did. Yeah.
I can't hear you, Maium. I think I can see you speaking, but I can't hear you.
Did we talk about Royal London?
What about the Royal London?
Did we talk about that?
We did talk about it a bit after Abdul's programme.
Okay.
I'll come back afterwards and put the link onto the programme, but I can't reach it now because I'm commenting about other things. So tonight we have collected some feedback on the Iceland shop in Chris Street Market, and maybe some other shops in the borough need to look at their practice as well. Maybe the council needs to do something about observance going on in the shops, because otherwise there's no point telling us all to stay home. But we can go out and do a bit of shopping if the shops are not really playing their part. And I've also heard one complaint about Shandy Park up in Poplar, where people have been out playing sports in groups. I don't know if that's allowed or not at the moment, but certainly it seems to have been going on without any social distancing. So Tower Hamlets Council needs to wake up and do something about that. And also we've asked you, dear viewer, to get involved and to look, Tower Hamlets Council, look, we know that the idea stores were invented by Labour, but then promoted and developed and funded by Look for Rahman, and we know you don't like him very much, but don't close them now. We've been through too much to just close them because of the pandemic. Keep them there, even if they're a bit mothballed, until we can actually go into them again. So that's our other plea. And the other thing, look, we're always sort of asking, aren't we? Oh, can you sign this? Can you sign that? But we really mean it this time. Sign that letter. Let's get some Tower Hamlets signatures on that Whipps Cross letter. The link is there, just on the comment on this video. So please just click on it, go through, and sign it. So with that, Maium, thank you for coming on. Is there anything else you'd like to say about what's going on locally? Or have we covered it? I think we have.
I think we all covered everything. I just want to urge everyone, request everyone to maintain the distance, wear masks, and follow the guidelines. And please, let's all stay safe.
Indeed. Very good words. Okay, thank you for listening. Next week we'll be back, as I promised you last week. Last week I said it would be a special this week, but in fact we're going to run it next Tuesday, February the 2nd. We have got a stellar lineup to talk once more about Julian Assange case and all the background issues in terms of the war against Iraq and some of the issues that came out of that and the freedom of the press. It's such a stellar lineup. Even I'm a bit intimidated by it all. So I'm looking forward to seeing our guests then. Watch out for news about the programme, and we'll see you next week to talk about Assange. Otherwise, just keep in touch through our Facebook pages and let us know what's going on and what we need to cover here on the Tuesday show. Good night, and we'll see you next week.